Welcome to News Today, a PodNu service. Today is Thursday, March 24, 2022, Central European Time. Paramount Plus's Halo TV show does a good job of capturing the scope of a huge intergalactic war that is based on Halo, Combat Evolved, and its sequels. However, the TV show isn't an adaptation of the main story from the video game. Instead, it's a reimagining of the game's main story, using established events and characters as building blocks for a new story that stands on its own. From the first 2 episodes we've seen, there are some big changes from what many people expect from Halo. Here are 5 of the biggest changes that the TV show makes from the book. 1. Master Chief and Silver Team. This is what Master Chief, John 1:17, looks like in the original game series. He is a modified and heavily armed Spartan II who was trained by the UNSC, United Nations Space Command, to fight aliens known as the Covenant. As long as he wasn't the first UNSC Spartan to fight against the aliens, Master Chief was the only super soldier who played a role in the first 2 movies. Halo Reach, a prequel to the original game, came out in 2010, and it wasn't until then that fans saw other Spartan soldiers in the main story. One big change in the series is that we see Master Chief, played by Pablo Schreiber, in charge of Silver Team, a group of elite Spartan soldiers who have also been trained and built. Catherine Halsey came up with the first version of the UNSC Spartan II program, just like in the video games, played by Natasha McElhone in the TV show. When Master Chief and the other Spartans fight, they wear the Mjolnir power armor that was made by her. In the TV show, Master Chief and the Spartans get a lot of attention. This puts more emphasis on how the UNSC program came to be and the ethical issues that come with making an army of super soldiers to fight an intergalactic war. According to the first episode, there's more of an effort to show how the UNSC uses the Spartans to not only fight the Covenant, but also to help humanity achieve its goals, no matter how grim or cruel the means are. 2. The UNSC and the cost of war. You can't build a world like this with video games. The Halo TV show does this a lot better. There are a lot of big changes in the show. One of them is that it looks at how the war between humanity and the Covenant affects people. In the first episode, a Covenant attack on a civilian settlement that wants to break away from the UNSC. They think the UNSC is a force that is getting closer to the galaxy and uses the Covenant and the Spartans to spread its message. This is a smart move because it expands the scope of the world and adds a human dimension to the conflict that most video games don't. As an example, during Halo 2's storylines about the invasion of New Mombasa, civilians and the rest of the general public were not seen at all. Opening, the attack on Earth shows that Halo isn't just about the United Nations Space Command, UNSC, and the Covenant. It also shows that Halo's universe is bigger than just the UNSC and the Covenant. The TV show also makes a bold choice not to show the UNSC in a good light. Most of the games show them as a good group of people who fight against bad aliens. The TV show shows them as morally gray, a superpower in the universe who isn't afraid to kill their soldiers and civilians to keep their power. This makes the UNSC a lot less trustworthy than the games, which is a good contrast. 3. The connections between the Covenant and humanity. At the heart of much of the Halo series are the Covenant, powerful aliens who are in a religious war with humans. The original Halo game tries to keep the Covenant and their goals a secret. If you play a later game, you can play as a Covenant named the Arbiter, which is a direct match to Master Chief. The TV show keeps going with this strategy, giving the Covenant time and showing their point of view on the conflict. It's one big difference. The Covenant now has a person on their side. Makee, a character made for the show, has joined the Covenant and works with them to try to get rid of humanity's presence in the universe and find Forerunner relics. It's an interesting change, and it could make the war between the two groups more dangerous. They give the Covenant a new look through the eyes of a human who has given up his roots. I can't wait to see how Makee changes over the course of the show. 4. A new look at Planet Reach. The invasion of Reach is a big deal in a lot of Halo games. This is because it was a big deal in the history of the Human-Covenant War. Shortly after the fall of Reach, a group of UNSC soldiers and Master Chief, the only surviving Spartan 2 soldier, flee the planet with the sole surviving Spartan 2 soldier, who is called Master Chief. People in Halo are going to fight a different way after this event. The TV show, on the other hand, reorders events. Planet Reach is a busy place for humans in the first few episodes, and it's still well protected from the Covenant. This, of course, isn't going to last long, because Halo has a history of ending things quickly. Fair to say that Reach may have some dark days ahead of it, which could be a big part of the TV show. 5. Who is Master Chief really? You don't know what the Master Chief looks like without his helmet in Halo games and books. It's still not clear who John 117 is without his mask. Games like Halo 1 and 4 have hinted at it. In Halo Infinite, Master Chief was shown to be more than just a human. It's likely that the games won't show off what he looks like anytime soon. It's not like the Halo TV show is going to follow Master Chief and his history as the best Spartan 2 in a new direction though. Also, we'll learn more about how he came to be a part of the program and what he had to deal with. We'll also see what the Master Chief looks like when he takes off his helmet. This is a huge change from how the games have shown one of gaming's most famous characters. As for Halo's main character, though, this does allow for him to be shown in a more relatable way. The Master Chief will have to deal with his loyalty to the UNSC and his desire to do what is right in a very different way. Then we're interested.